that stream and it just disappeared. So this is take two clapperboard thing. Alright, episode 404, I'm Justin House, this is TrueHouse live stream. The date today is Thursday the 26th of August, and yeah, I'm just hoping that we will not lose the signal this time. I have a new phone clamp, I'm trusting that will stay put. I'm reluctant to do any more messing with anything. It's kind of bright on the lights tonight. I might cut back on the old lights, but okay, so I'm just going to go for it and see how this turns out. Right, so what I was talking about, I've titled tonight's stream Strangest Things as opposed to Strange or Stranger Things. What I was saying, and it's almost as if it feels a bit meme-ish, that I could arguably start each and every live stream with making several points that at a level of individual and collective consciousness, you're like, oh okay, you know, is it me? And what I mean by that is, you know, whether you're a person just sat in your kitchen, driving a car, sat in traffic, in the cafe, at your place of work, walking down the street, you get me, you feel me, you know. And what are most people interacting with, you know, with the world? What are they using to interact with the world? Frankly, the majority of people, in terms of interface with the world, it's probably a smartphone. Certainly myself, my primary purview, I'm not embarrassed to say this, I'm actually thoroughly enjoying it. My primary, other than, you know, hello, how are you, talking to real people, my primary method or device, or the correct language I suppose, is interface, isn't it? How do I operate with what's occurring in the world? I come from an analog era, and that would be me literally pedaling my bike to the newsagents to get a newspaper from my late parents, you know, because that's what any Generation X kid my age would now say to you, that they did a paper round, they went and got the newspaper and watched the news on the television. So the reason I want to talk about strangest things is that if you were even moderately tinfoil hat, even my, you know, if you were like chicken korma levels of conspiracy, right? You're not like, you know, a hot data dump of conspiracy, you know, really full on, oh my god, the aliens have landed on the White House lawn, Mars attack styly, but you were just a regular bod, pretty diluted, as most people are, in terms of subjugation, complicit cuckery and total acquiescence. The United Cuckdom, anyone? Bueller. But most people are, I don't know if the word's reluctant or reticent or just okay, you know, just, it's almost like what's the word? Resolved, yeah, it's like a redundancy, or a lot of people I speak to, specifically, you know, just if I see them in IRL or via a screen, they just seem to be accepting of all this. And that being said, I'm going to sound like a complete lunatic if I was to sit here with even a half-cocked straight face and said something like, yeah, I'm going to, because of the way I, Justin House, feel, I'm going to evoke a change, you know. And I think what I'm, the larger point, and I'm going to sound like someone like David Fuller, and if you haven't, I don't presume that anyone watching is going to automatically know the name David Fuller, but David, or Dave Fuller, is an extremely, what I would refer to as a good journalist, a proper journalist. English chap, worked for BBC, Channel 4, and his channel is called Rebel Wisdom. So Rebel Wisdom, and it's really about, its primary objective is sense making and his own in terms of him explaining what he does, and as an investigative journalist, what David Fuller does, and of course these people, and I'm realising this the deeper I go into being a truther, being a streamer. God, I feel good tonight. Sorry, I just got to interrupt myself by saying that I feel really decent. Mind you, I've just done some cardio. I do definitely stream better. God, I'm such a twat, because I definitely stream better if I've prepped for it beforehand, like just a bit of cardio, I don't know, it's making me feel more calm actually. Sort of the conversation flow in my head. Anyway, it's really weird, because if I was to, and I often use this to demonstrably, sort of try and almost create a picture when I'm trying to convey something via this medium, me speaking into this object, and I get very reductive. I break things down because I'm a layman, and I know, again, this is very rhetorical. I'm being rhetorical. I'm being very obvious. So I'm a layman, and I'm attracted to. I find it appealing. I find it alluring. This stuff. So. To my mind, me now at my age stage in life, midlife, me messing around with things like this that I'm speaking into, or my phone fixation, that is no different to how I felt about playing the Star Wars toys. Does that make sense? From a functionality purview, an observer might say, "You're a bit weird, mate. How and why are you comparing a microphone to Star Wars figures?" Well, I don't profess to fully understand either. And in terms of literal play, this is play. I'm playing. I'm speaking on something that is hopefully harmoniously working with my voice, but it's a medium, it's an interface, it's a system, it's a tool, it's a thing. It lets me do and go somewhere. Okay, so I feel as God, talk about being reductive. Because I don't take any of this as normal. I don't see what I'm doing as normal. I don't think our behaviour is normal, and I'm not trying to be clever. I'm not, because again, I always try to put myself in the position of someone, if they were to watch this and they'd see my bloody talking head and they go, "What on earth is that bloke talking about? What's he trying to convey? What are his talking points? He's not clever, he's not funny, he's just talking shite." And that would be really forgiven for thinking that, but I'm just trying to make sense, and that's why I mentioned David Fuller, because I think all of our lives, up until about 2015, say, rough approximation, we kind of just got on with it. For most people, that's in adult life, getting up and going to work and and a life, and it's just this kind of almost robotic existence. And now, to quote various other people, there is a glitch in the Matrix, and that's the name of a great documentary I watched a few months back. What on earth is going on? I mean, I could title every single live stream Strangest Things. The progressive logic being strange, stranger, strangest, and obviously the successful TV show Stranger Things. But what? It's a circus. What do I mean? Well, I mean this. I mean, take yourself back, guys, in recent memory, and I mean recent memory. What's a recent memory? Well, let's say 3 years or less. So that includes Epstein, doesn't it? That includes Brexit, yeah? Well, I think Brexit is 2016, but my point is just recent history, recent memory for all of you. Think about the conversations, think about the narrative, think about the media, think about the news, think about what you discussed with your friends, family, in your own bloody head, what was just occurring. And look at the conversation swaps, look at the collective amnesia, look at the cognitive dissonance, look at the confirmation bias, look at the group think, look at the wrong think. It's all very Orwellian, it's all very much like a story. Look at the cyclical nature of the news. I talk about these things and this subject like a literal broken record. I could come on here on a nightly, well I do, it's a weekly live stream, but I could come on here every night and argue the toss with myself, with one person or 100 people and say, look, do you think this is remotely okay? Do you think this is remotely normal? And what, if anything, can be done about it? And I'm going to bounce off David Fuller into a sort of more mainstream name, Russell Brand. Now I'm a Russell Brand fan. I've been watching Russell, gosh. So I might do. I might just try an experiment actually. I might just try something while I'm online. And this is an experiment. This is a total experiment. I might see, hold on. I might see if, just literally going to see if I could stream live to, you know, like a what you call it channel, you know, like one of my social media channels. I don't know. It probably won't. It might not actually. It might not do it. But I'm literally going to give it a whirl. I'll give it a whirl. It's yeah, I mean, I'm literally trying just to see if this is purely experimental. Very sketchy, but don't know. Anyway, it's worth a shot. It's worth a shot because I'll keep YouTube going. Okay, if we keep, it's worth a shot. It's worth a shot. I honestly don't know if that's going to work, but it's literally, you know, it's a shot in the dark, as they say. Not even sure that's going to be capturing the image. But yeah, look, I mean, the thing is, I was watching a conversation unravel, unfold. It was actually, you know, I mentioned David Fuller. You know, pick your poison. It could be David Fuller, it could be Russell Brand. I lean heavily towards the Brand camp. You know, I'm one of those Russell Brand diehards, whereby, you know, I like Russell from my memories of Russell. I mean, I'll run this. So I'm trying to look behind the camera. I'm just literally running it. As I know. Well, it's a break from Twitch. And we'll keep the YouTube going, and will just, because the block, I don't like using the word ban, because I will only use the language that's been used to me, for me, by them. So the message from Instagram and Facebook to my account simply says you are blocked from sharing video and from live streaming. And obviously Instagram and Facebook are the same company, right? So it is what it is. Oh, now look, that's interesting. So that's gone through. Keith is there. Hi, Keith. That's interesting. Well, that's been a long time, because I gave up deactivating and opening up a new account, deactivating and opening up a new account. You know, you get 30 days served with Instagram, 30 days served with Facebook, and then of course I went into terms and conditions, and we all do this, don't we? You know, you scroll through and you hit I agree. You know, whether you're in whatever, you know, renewing if you're an Apple person, renewing your Apple contract or whatever, and none of us, myself included, actually stop and look at the dozens of pages of litigation, of legal bollocks, really. Just you know, do you agree to terms and conditions? And anyway, my point is, you do it, you agree, and then of course, especially now with this third-party app tracking, I'm on, I'm on Android 12, beta Android 12 I use on my Android stuff, and I'm on iOS 15, of course, with Apple items, and I'm now on the build. I've forgotten. I did another update tonight on the iOS beta program, but I never read it. You don't. No, is that? And that's what they charge the money for. Exactly. Well said. So we all do it, and I think. I mean, I've deliberately not used bad language. I've not made any. I mean, I wouldn't dare. I mean, I really wouldn't dare do anything that's, you know, falling into the category of lewd, rude, sexual. You know, like I might get a bit fresh in my language now and again and drop a bollocks here and a bollocks there, and do you know what I mean, or F this or F that. But you know, I try so hard to be so clean, and of course I mean, yes, gone past 4, so we're episode 404. This is 404 tonight, 404. But yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just thinking. I even told my brother, and I you know, I'm never going to speak about brother because I'm super duper respectful and careful. And I said to him, I said, this is what I got banned for, and this was on Sunday. Saturday, yeah, we're at Starbucks, and we're sat outside, you know, the local sort of Sturminster Marshall way, that one there. And it's good actually. There's always bikers outside, and I miss riding motorbikes. I was sort of the geek in me. I'm like, you know, looking at, you know, whatever, you know, it's like Aprilia and that, yeah, you know, just whatever. It's like I rode for a lot of years, but I digress, and I said to him, I said, look, this is what I got banned for, and I showed him my, I dared to quote Edmund Burke, and of course George Orwell. And in terms of literary geniuses, I mean, these two guys, if you just go onto Google and look at Edmund Burke, I think he's Irish actually. Edmund Burke was considered the father of modern conversation. So in terms of, you know, actual words leaving our mouths, and you say this and I say that, talking heads, actual humans talking to each other, an exchange of free thought, and, you know, religion and opinions, and, you know, whatever, just humans talking. The founder, some say he's the father of, or the grandfather of, but Edmund Burke literally invented this medium of conversation. And one of the most famous quotes because I don't like the plagiarism, I don't like to nick quotes, I like to try and do something myself, but there's a couple of quotes out there that are really, like something from Nietzsche or Freud or like I say, Burke or Orwell. And the one I posted, which got me hoofed off Instagram and Facebook on the same day, was, oh bugger, I always forget when I say it. Oh yes, I'm such a doofus. All it takes, and I'm paraphrasing this because I'm not going to remember it verbatim, for evil to succeed or for evil to be successful, all that is necessary for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing. Or of course, these days you can't say good men, can you? You've got to say good people. So the paraphrased version, because I'm trying to be an autodidact here and sort of be like, oh yes, it's not verbatim. I'm not playing. This is Justin's version of that famous Edmund Burke quote, and it's literally. In lay terms, for evil to triumph, there you go, for evil to triumph, for evil to be successful, all it takes is for good humans to do naffle. So if we as individuals or as a collective, hive mind, hive mentality, so whether it's your family or your local community, whatever, scale it. I'm sorry, I was looking at the comments. Yes, exactly. I know don't get me started because I'll start talking about collectivism versus individualism. Like I'm a qualified bloody philosopher or psychiatrist. No, mate. So yeah, that was it. So that got me blocked, and then. Literally predating that by about 5 or 7 days, call it a week, I got in trouble for using the famous but similar George Orwell quote. Sorry about the cameras. I'm just literally trying to. Oh, that'll do. One of these days, I will have the money to get a camera. Like the Sony A7 or something, like an actual camera, an actual grown-up camera, not smartphones, and then Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. I can be like, yes, I am streaming to, that's when I can go Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, I think it's up to 5, but anyway, whatever. So yeah, that was really it, guys. I just, I could call this stream tonight and every stream thereafter, sorry, I'm getting a bit shouty, aren't I? Strangest things, because I'm going to go back to Russell Brand actually, because this is why I always feel a sense of relief. I'm not saying you've got to be a die-hard Russell Brand fan. I know that if we look at what's the word, divisive comedians, so I love Ricky Gervais, I love Sacha Baron Cohen, Ali G, Russell Brand, and of course, if you ever watch any, this is going somewhere, by the way. This is relevant to my point about Orwell. Oh, that was the Orwell quote. The Orwell quote was, "The further a society drifts from the truth." Remember, this is TrueHouse. The further a society drifts from the truth, the more it shall hate those that speak it. And my remit from day one of 403 streams ago was that for me to do this live stream, level as much criticism at me as you want to, because I know that I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I know that what leaves my mouth is going to be, to some people, they're going to be like, oh, I don't like what he's saying, he's a twat. That's life. The minute you turn on a screen, the minute you turn on this medium, whether it's a smartphone or the minute you chuck yourself at the mercy of the public and say, hello, I am and this is what I think, you know, you're putting yourself out there, and if you think you're going to get away unscathed and not upset somebody, then, excuse my French, you're fucking deluded. I'm at the point now with these streams where I'm trying to keep them lean. You know, I don't do more than an hour now when I'm doing monologues like this. I can't remember the last time I did my drift off, you know, when I can't land the plane, the proverbial plane. It's like, yeah, Justin's asleep on camera again. Quite the reverse. I'm trying to keep them sort of, you know, a little bit more to the point. So yeah, whether you're stupid like me and you're using Edmund, sorry, I keep bashing the table with my knee. Whether you're quoting Edmund Burke or Friedrich Nietzsche, or George Orwell himself, the fact that the independent fact checkers for Facebook, Instagram, whoever, Twitter, see fit, and of course they will blame it on the algorithm. They'll say, "Oh, this is an algorithm." Algorithmic psychosis is completely paradoxical. So I did see some old footage, I say old, it's a year old, of the lovely Sundar Pichai, CEO of Google. And yes, I'm getting the Pixel 6 Pro. I'm counting I'm just seeing what they're saying. Yes, iPhone 13 in 20 days. Pixel 6 Pro in about 35 days. Yes, I know. I've done both on the my returns. You know, so in other words, both these phones go, and those two new come in. So yes, I'm excited, but especially for the Google, the Pixel 6 Pro looks exceedingly good. But yeah, Sundar Pichai said it, that algorithm this, algorithm that, and then it was an old, I don't know, it might have been one of the, you know, when you see these things invariably on YouTube and they cut them up, it's you know, like clips, YouTube clips, and you'll see US Congress, US Senate, you know, and it's like, you look at these old crusty buggers, and you know they can't write any, I'm no expert, but you know they can't write an email. You know they can barely put a tweet out. You know they can barely do a text, let alone understand algorithm, you know, or code. And this one old boy, I don't know, the senator from where, you know, Tennessee, wherever, he said, "Oh, what was embarrassing and patently obvious." And bear in mind, they're asking. It's a little bit like when they interrogated Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook, right? You're thinking, is Mark Zuckerberg or you know, Jack Dorsey at Twitter, or Susan Wojcicki YouTube, and Sundar Pichai at Google? These people are, you know, in charge of the internet, right? So they're going to know a little bit about, you know, the wizard behind the curtain, if I'm going to use the analogous to the Wizard of Oz. You know, here's the big reveal, behind the curtain it's just a little wizard, you know. And you could tell that their level of ignorance, because it was quite funny, because, and I'm not, look, this is going to sound like I'm being a little bit ageist, and we are living in a very ageist time, aren't we? But it was one of these senators, and I'm drawing a blank on who it was. They didn't fundamentally understand an operating system versus the internet versus a service versus a service provider versus a device versus, you know, Android. And by the way, who owns Android? And it was just that distinction between, okay, Android is Google. Do you understand that the alphabet Google are Android, and the internet operating system called iOS is Apple? They're everything. And this guy goes, "One of your competitors," and I was like, oh no, this is really embarrassing, because they were remarking on, if I Google the word idiot, it gets Trump's face. This is true. And to this day, if you simply get your screen, whatever screen you're using, and you start to tap in letters and type in the word idiot. I could probably do it now actually. Let me just do it on the old OnePlus. Hold on, let's see if I'm gonna, right, I'm using an old 7T Pro here, okay. IDIOT, this could be quite funny. Images. Wow, okay, I've just done it, look. So that's for YouTube, and that's for, I can't believe it's come through to Facebook because, oh, there's Dave. Hello, my lovely. Because it's, the block has been on Instagram and YouTube. So look, I tapped in the word idiot, me, hit images, and you get Trump, right? Now, the footage I was referring to, Trump is brilliant. I miss him. Because he, you know, that's to my earlier point about being divisive, isn't it? It's like, you know, Marmite people. I don't know, guys. I just think that all, I'm going to sound so deeply cynical. I've personally, little old me, I've reached a point of being, sound like a useful idiot. I've reached a point of calm, insofar as, let me give you an example. All right, bear with me. I was in London yesterday, okay, I had to pop up to Guy's, to, you know, my transplant surgeon. And there's a lovely chap called Professor Tony Dorling. And as you know, they've said to me since the 9th of March last year, you know, no vaccine for you. And I think, you know, I've lost count. I'm about 540 days in now. And I'm not going to speak about the Delta. No, I'm not. I think when did the Alpha version start? Was it Kent? Wasn't it? I think it was Kent, wasn't it? The Alpha. And by the way, we're ahead of America in this regard. Anyway, so I ran into this professor who's, you know, he's been doing my bloods, you know, for the last 8 years of the transplant. And God, I'm always so snotty here. And he said, you know, well done, because he'd gone into the transplant clinic. We have you know, you go in, obviously they're shielded and masked. We've got a couple of thousand patients, guys, you know, before your bloods, you do your urine, you do your body weight, blood pressure, in that order. So urine, body weight, blood pressure, bloods, script, off you go. So that's about 3 hours. It's pretty good. It's pretty quick. You got to think this is London, guys. You know, you're at the foot of the Shard. You know, we're talking just many. This is not your local, you know, Dorset GP. I've got a Dorset GP down the road. Lovely little, the old dispensary in Wimborne, smashing practice. Lovely GP. I've had him for 22 years. But there's that, and then I go up to London yesterday. I'm like, wow, yeah. They're actually very efficient, and they have been. And he said to me, this Tony Dorling, this professor, because they're shielding from patients, they're not seeing patients, and yada yada yada. And he said, look, you know, no flu vax for you, no, and he winked because he knows I'm a little bit anal. And he said, no gene therapy for you then, like that. And I said, I know. I said, I can't be an anti-vaxxer if it's not a vax. And he went, like that, and he went, and you'd be right. And I said, I'm not going to get in. I said, but you can't call a non-vaccine not a, you know, because it's obviously it's a therapeutic, isn't it? And I did some research recently on anyone about my age will remember. It's terrible. We had about, I say we, it could be internationally, but about 10,000 babies in, oh gosh. Between, I don't know, 1959 and 1973, thalidomide, okay? A lot of people call it flid or flidomide. It's thalidomide, Thalimode, thalidomide. And when I was at school, this is going somewhere, this is going somewhere. And when I was at school, you know, Gen Xer, you know, 1970, well, 77, I was 5, it was normal. I got in trouble for speaking about this the other month, by the way. You know, community guidelines, I got a complaint because I used the word flid. Well, I'll be correct, and it's flid, as in thalidomide. And you know, the people with, you know, it's cruel, but when we were growing up in the 70s and 80s, you would routinely see and hear kids go, "Oh, me, he's a flid," right? He's a flid, you know. And looking back, fucking cruel, ghastly, in fact. But let's be honest, guys. We were, all of us here, you know, I'm 50 in January. I know, half a century in January, even though I look about 75. Haven't aged a day just. And it was normal to, you know, Variety, Sunshine Coach, Joey Deacon, you know, Flid. And it's, when I spoke to Tony, this professor yesterday, kissing the microphone, he said, the therapeutics given with thalidomide, and of course Australia, and this was, it wasn't IB Farben, it was, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank, but it was basically a Nazi. I mean, please Google it. But the actual inventor in terms of the harnessing of the drug. You've got to remember, guys, thalidomide was given to expectant mothers in, ooh, God, I'm gonna cock this one up. I don't know, whatever. 2-3 months in, you know, it was to combat sickness, you know, in pregnancy, you know, morning sickness. You know, when women are obviously going through the 9-month window, and they often become very nauseous, and I believe thalidomide was a drug, an oral medication to combat that dreadful sickness women feel, nausea during their pregnancy. I know I'm completely killing this. Anyway, and it was a gene it was a therapeutic, as opposed to, here's your polio vax, here's your, to be vaccinated. And this is what was said to me yesterday. And it was said to me in a fashion far simpler and better than I possibly can, but I'll try. And what this professor said was, and he used language, you know, for a numpty like me. Hold on. It's hard work, all this bloody yeah. And he said, the traditional vaccine is a dead version of the nastiness. You know, I'm going to really use simple words for a simpleton like me. Otherwise, I'll get myself, you know, I'll cock it up. You're given a replicant, you know, a dead version of this. We're going to dose you with a dead derivative of that nasty thing you might get, right? So, you know, my mum's mum died of polio, etc. Obviously, my parents I don't want to be dismissive, but my parents are dead, of course, and, you know, polio was a thing, wasn't it? People would die of polio, you know, you could, you know, life expectancy is good, right? And one of the things I said to this prof yesterday, I said, isn't it weird how death isn't permitted? And he had like quite a wry grin. I said, when did, during this COVID, I call it the COVID station, when did we as a society get to this preposterous level of 40 minutes of conversation where, you know, you're not allowed to die anymore, you're not allowed to, you know, get ill, and you know, what's happened to flu and cancer and coronary heart disease, and, you know, I've had 2 heart attacks, for goodness sake. I mean, you know, the main causes of death, you know, you're morbidly obese, or, you know, you got cancer. You know, both my parents went with cancer, and it's like and I'm going to say this in a sarcastic way. Is COVID the only cause of death now? You know, and it's like, sorry guys. I mentioned it to this chap, and he goes, you'd think it, and he was deadly serious. And, you know, very good conversation. I was very grateful for it, and it was completely, because we're not allowed to see doctors, transplants, you know, our own surgeons, you know, because they're just doing the shielding thing. And you know, all my prescriptions now are done email a month in advance. I have to email, you know, controlled drugs and immunosuppressants and anti-rejection drugs and all that. Corticosteroids, they're super strict. They're actually more efficient now than they were pre-COVID. That they developed a system of guys where, you know, I get my quarterly supply of meds and, you know, I'm good to go. And anyway, I got a brownie pot. I got, you know, the proverbial pat on the back from this Professor Dorling, because he said, look, you know, he said, I've noticed you're 147 kilos and you're down to 115. So that was what I was yesterday. I was 115.2 kilos. So over the last, whatever it is, since 9th of March last year, and I started to make a concerted effort to just try and get lighter. You know, no fucks given about, oh, how do I look and how much muscle am I going to, you know, carry. I just thought, no, Justin, just don't, you know, try to live lighter. Just walk, mate. You useless shit. Just walk and eat less and just clean up your act. So yeah, 115.2 kilos yesterday, down from 147. So that's 32 kilos. Anyway, so it's quite a bit. It's quite a bit. It's about, I don't know, 4.5, 5 stone, whatever. And still got plenty of body fat to come off, you know. And he said to me, look, you've probably had it about 10, 12 years. And I said, oh, that's good. And he said, and it only took COVID, you know, right old grin, you know, I say he's got the big old, it's like looking at someone with an Arrow or a Shoei on, you know, like an actual proper motorcycle helmet. And they said, only took, and he's like that, you know, he's a little guy, but he's sort of quite, you know, when some people are like little, but they don't look little. And I got a lot of respect for this guy. Any of my doctors up there, I'm like, geez, you know, you've saved my life, haven't you? Very grateful. And that was it. You know, I went out and got my bloods done and got my prescription and had a very pleasant drive home. But the upshot of what I'm saying is, oh, by the way, he did say to me, one thing he did say, he said, you know, he's still because, you know, he wouldn't use the word vaccine. That's my sort of overarching point, is that they don't use the word vaccine. And that's why I mentioned thalidomide, and that's why I mentioned polio, and, you know, the, what's the other vaccine, mumps, rubella, you know, the one you give little kids, you know. Anyway, I don't know, I don't know, but I'm now at the point where he did say to me, and they've actually written this, that the Astra, no, also for the Astra, and I don't know what else we've got here in the UK. I'm a bit more up on the American stuff, but I can keep going as I am and just leave it, swerve it, or, you know, go for the Pfizer, and, you know, but the number of times my own GP here and these guys in London have said to me, you're not broke, if it ain't broke, don't, you know what I mean? And they did do an about face with regard to the, I almost said vaccine myself then, they did do an about face, because I was told, absolutely, in the early days, I was told, you know, you must get it because you're immunosuppressed, you know. And then it was just simply their stance. And I've had to listen to someone. I'm not going to listen to the internet. I've had to listen to my doctors. And if you're going to give advice about this whole thing, for God's sake, just say to yourselves or say to your loved ones, well, go and speak to a medically qualified person then. You know, go and speak to a person that understands actual medicine, but isn't paid off by medicine. But, do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. Well, I do know. But so yeah, I am unvaxxed. I am not an anti-vaxxer. I don't have the gene therapy that's commonly referred to as the vaccine. most people I know are vaccinated, and with good reason. It's psychologically and physically. I'm not one of those complete cock stands, nor have I ever claimed to be one of those complete turnips online that says stuff like COVID's not real. Something's rotten in Denmark, yeah, that's fair, isn't it? That's fair. Something's rotten in Denmark. Is it fair? Gosh, that camera's a terrible angle. I'm sorry, guys, but it's a shock. It's on Facebook tonight. I will try and keep. What was that about? It's just the gooseneck arm is a bit. Yeah. Look. The number of that's why I call it the COVID-sation. Here's what gosh, it's terrible. It's 46 minutes now. Here's the bad thing. This is what I will be quite gobby about. I do have an issue with this becoming religious zealotry, yeah? Cult-like, a team sport, dividing families, partners, friends, loved ones over fucking COVID, excuse my French. That I have an issue with. I have an issue with human to human under the same roof. I know two lovely couples in Essex, people I know extremely well, who have pressured one or the other half to get it, who has subsequently had it, as in, when I say it, sorry, I should be crystal clear, that has gone and got the who's gone and got, you know, the therapy, the vaccine, and then after pressurising their respective other half, whether it's the wife doing it to the husband or the husband doing it to the wife, you know, you've got to think about our children. You must, you know. And look, I'm not a parent. I'm not a parent, so I've only got to worry about my own ridiculous health. Yeah, but it upsets me to know that there are families and partners and companies and firms, you know, that awful social stigma, that vax snobbery, you know, and again, I use the language, it's akin to you know, a religious cult, and you do become zealots, and you know, this awful finger pointing, you know, I've seen it in the Mail, the Guardian, the Telegraph, the Washington HuffPo, the LA Times, the Washington Post, you know, filthy, disgusting, vile anti-vaxxers, you know, real hate speech. What about people that for religious reasons don't want a vaccine? What about people, I don't know, Amish, Jehovah's, Roman Catholics? Well, I don't know. I'm not even qualified to make a remark on that, but I do know there are people in sectors in society that, for their own fundamental reasons, you know, whether it's, you know, their core belief, their whatever, they're just not into it, man. So this is why pieces of shit, yeah, pieces of shit like Bill de Blasio, Andrew Cuomo. So sure, it makes my blood boil. So I'm talking about the mayor and the governor of New York respectively here. Murderer Andrew Cuomo and his equally narcissistic, hubristic piece of shit brother Chris Cuomo. Yes, I watch more American TV than English, you know that, but when you've got the mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio, and the governor, well, he's stood down now, thank God, of New York City, Andrew Cuomo, lying, not just fudging it, but out and out lying, not to the detriment, but to the death of, you know, people have actually died because of them. I have an issue with that. I have an issue with the mandating of it now, where if you're, you know, I'm registered. If I lived in New York City, not that I do, but if I did live in New York City, I'd be screwed now because, I'm registered disabled. I'm not making it about me, although it sounds like that, isn't it? But there is no room now, there's no accommodation for people that legitimately cannot be vaccinated. I don't even like the language, but we are dealing with semantics, we are dealing with a level of, I hate Gavin Newsom in Los Angeles, one rule for me, another for the, yeah, exactly. Let me go to Napa County and drink some wine and fuck you serfs, you minions, plebeians, plebiscites, whatever. Yeah, I don't like it's happening in the UK and the US. Snobbery and just a vicious, malevolent undercurrent of spite. It's palpable. You've only got to briefly look at the news, whether it's what do we consume here, Channel 4, BBC, Scott, whatever you watch, ITV, yeah, I've said enough. It's actually quite nice like I say, I did it because YouTube crashed and Twitch wasn't going and Instagram is still a ban, so I thought you go Facebook, Justin, you try Facebook, and it's actually gone live, and to see Keith and Dave is lovely. It's nice to see you guys. That sounds daft, and it's nice to see you guys, but like I can see their names on the screen. It's nice. But yeah, I know it's a bit of a rant, guys, and I've gone a bit off the old pinball flaps and gone a bit, you know what I mean by that, like I've gone a bit off the, as I do, but I just, stop it, stop it, you know what I mean, like, who the hell do I think I am, like, oh yeah, I'm on my soapbox and I've got an important, like I'm giving some PSA, some public service announcement. Not at all, just a bloke with a mic and a couple of smartphones. I just don't like, I remember saying to my colleagues at work, when I left work, I'm still not back at work, I remember saying to just a couple of people that sort of, I've got a couple of close mates, and I remember saying just my initial knee-jerk reaction with all this from the 9th of March last year was, I hope it levels people, I hope it humbles people, I hope through humility and a good old-fashioned fear, I hope that people will just, reshuffle that deck and level it. Fast forward 18 months, Zuckerberg and Bezos are richer than ever, and the world's gone to hell in a handbasket, and yes, Joe Biden is cognitively impaired. I mean, goodness me. Come on, man. I mustn't talk about Afghanistan. I mustn't. Good God. In fact, tomorrow night, because I've avoided it, but all I will say, can I give you some homework? I'm going to bugger off, because it's 55 minutes now, and it's like the limit I can expect anyone to tolerate my yapping is 45 to 60 minutes. And I don't think it's healthy for me to do any more than that, because I'm essentially just monologuing. Can I give you some homework, if I may be so bold? We have I'm a fanboy of Russell Brand, right? Look, whether you like Russell or not, he's extremely intelligent. It's not just fancy language. Russell's a, I lived for years in 7 years of my life in dodgy Grays, Tilbury, Grays, right? Chadwell St Mary's, some not too good parts of Essex. And believe me, anyone that's lived in Essex, outside of Chelmsford, from Chelmsford to Tilbury, when you get up that, past Basel, get out of Billericay, past Basildon, and A13, A12, A127, but all that area, and I know where Russell Brand is from, and that part of Grays and Tilbury and Chadwell St Mary is a little bit rough. It's a little bit rough. Anyway, and that's where Russell's from. So I like the fact that Russell Brand is here, and he's very yogi-like. Anyway, he had an interview with a guy called Adam Curtis. There's a reason I'm mentioning this, because it's how I'm going to leave you tonight. And Adam Curtis is a well-recognised, renowned English documentary filmmaker. Adam Curtis is responsible for a couple of films that spring to mind that I would recommend anyone watch. And one is called Century of the Self, and it explains in great detail modern capitalism from Edward Bernays, Freud, and so on, Nietzsche, Freud, and how from the World War I onwards, and how really modernity and how the explosion of consumerism and capitalism and the 3 C's, and we covet and consume capital, the neocons and all the way. If you're into that stuff, right? I am. More relevant and pertinent is Bitter Lake. Bitter Lake, as in Helmand Province, 1946, the lake where our English government and the American government, we're talking Roosevelt here, FDR, and we landed and we invested. We're talking the Suez Canal, we are talking Aziz, all right, their old Wahhabism, the origins of, really, you could trace the Islamic State back to this, and how there was no way on God's green earth that the ancient tribesmen of Afghanistan were ever going to change, and they haven't now. And I'm a fan of Jocko Willink. You know, I've had lots of communication through DMs with Jocko Willink, and I'm a bloody fanboy of Jocko Willink, and I fanboy out on that shit. And he went to Afghan, you know, he's spoken about Helmand and also Ramadi and Iraq and Afghanistan, and my geography is dog shit, but I do know that the recent retina leak, the recent dump, 10 days ago? It was only 4 days ago, man. Shut up, Joe. So I'm just thinking about that George Yiannopoulos, whatever, interview with Biden, where he's like, but the people fell from the plane. Yeah, it's 4 or 5 days ago, man. Your point being, Joe, you freak. Anyway, I digress. The recent retina dump, and what that means is the Taliban knocking at your door. I'll leave you with this because it's 58 minutes deep now. I must be out of here by 60 minutes because you know, anyone watching is going to want to kill me. Still going. You've got Taliban knocking at your door, and they're asking you if you've worked with the Allies, if you're a sympathiser, if you're an interpreter. Are you a harmless sheep herder farmer, or have you worked with British and American forces? No, you say, and at which point they say au contraire, and they produce the retina scan, the massive data leak, the huge dump. You're only going to get a few channels cover this, potentially Fox News, but most channels will not cover this topic. The fact that a huge cache, a huge amount, a colossal data leak. Of course, this is Pentagon, CIA shit, or R5I's, GCHQ, God, no, again, this is well above my knowledge. All I know is there's been a massive leak, breach, acquisition, whatever. Okay, come on, I'm just a fucking, you know, I'm using language that's like, I don't profess to be an expert, I'm just saying, I do know this has happened. And in Bitter Lake, in the documentary by Adam Curtis, Bitter Lake, it's on BBC iPlayer, it's on YouTube, it is free. Do watch it, download it, because you see UK and US soldiers doing the retina scans, and that's a decade ago. And you think, holy shit, you poor buggers, you've got people literally living in mud huts who helped our boys, who helped the American boys, because is that Taliban? Is that Taliban? I don't know, they've all got a Taliban. Yeah, come on, like you'd know. RPG, IED. ABC, I just, so that's my personal little whatever. Bitter Lake by Adam Curtis, BBC iPlayer, YouTube. Download that shit, educate yourselves, understand the oil and opium and how the guarding of the opium of the poppy fields, and how this war was never about nation building. If I hear one more nation building, come on, come on. You do more good if you were to just, I don't know, build up your local cul-de-sac or whatever. It's disgusting. These hawks, these just Raytheon, Dynamics, BAE, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, come on guys, defence contracts, Go and watch Lord of War with Nicolas Cage. Alright, I'll leave it. It's been good to see you guys again on Facebook. That's me, Justin House, episode 404, job done. I'll be back tomorrow night, episode 405. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you're all well. Big love to you all, and I'll see you soon. Stopping that one.